My name is Mikael Fredin. I've been living a life with Atlantic salmon fishing on rivers all around the world. And myself, Fredin Flies, and our sailor team are now extremely worried over the current situation in the world. We've been fighting for free rivers and wild fish for decades. We've been fighting hydropower, drift netting, and coastal overfishing. But the last couple of decades, it's been the fast-growing Norwegian fish farming industry that is our focus. The global scientific salmon research community all agree that it is the threat from the open pen fish farming industry that is the biggest threat against our wild fish. It's through different things. It's through a big genetic pollution. It's through heavily infested fjords by sea lice, this little parasite that explodes from fish farming. And the third, it's the spreading of disease into the ecosystems from these fish farms. Also, the Baltic salmon stocks are on a historically low level. This comes from hydropower, of course, but the biggest threats right now is the fish farming industry trawling the sea in their hunt for proteins, for food, for their expanding industry. This trawling out on the open sea and also close to the coastline must stop now. We have warned and talked and warned about this situation before. Time is now running out for all our wild salmon stock. And this is a situation where it's not the lack of knowledge. Today, everybody knows what's causing it, but it's a lack of political will and action. Norwegian politicians and authorities sacrifice their wild salmon and beautiful fjord landscape instead of taking care of it. Norway is one of the richest countries in the world. When it comes to this issue, it looks also like Norway is actually one of the most corrupt countries in the Western world. The Norwegian fish farming industry has a lot of political influence. They are driving their cause to produce as much fish as possible instead of taking care of the environmental problems and taking care of an industry that could be sustainable. This situation puts nature up against greed. And if we don't fight now, nature will lose. We will lose our wild ecosystems and the fantastic, iconic species Atlantic salmon. Think about it. What is an ecosystem really worth? For future generation and for us. Norwegian authorities closed 33 rivers. Closed them from us, from recreational fishermen, instead of taking care of the problems. At the same time, they talk about growing the industry 5 times, growing the open pen fish farming industry that causes the problem. This is a scandal. It's an international scandal that we must do everything we can to stop. Norwegian authorities knows about this problem, but they fail to fight it and to stop the problem. In fact, they do quite the opposite. What they do is they ban us from fishing, taking away fishermen from the river, and as they've said, wild salmon is one of the obstacles for growing their industry. Again, this is a terrible thing happening. There are a few things we can do and that we must do now. We must act now to make a change. First of all, stop eating Norwegian farmed fish. Don't buy them in the food store, don't buy them in the restaurants, and spread this. Talk with your neighbors. All the fishing community knows it, but not the common people or other people. They don't know about this problem. We need to help spreading this by telling everyone, from neighbors to people in the food store to people running restaurants, to stop them from buying, selling and serving this fish. They shouldn't buy this being a healthy food. It's just pure greenwashing, and it's only about fish farming industry making as much money as fast as possible without taking any care about the ecosystems. Secondly, demand political action. Write to the authorities, write to the politicians and hold them responsible, because they are responsible for what's happening here now. The open pen fish farming industry must move into closed containments. Tax incentives here can change the industry and transform the industry into closed containments fast. The responsibility is with the politicians, and we need to tell them so over and over and over again. Third thing we can do is please start fishing 100% catch and release. Don't kill any wild Atlantic salmon. These fish are needed on the spawning grounds, and we should not kill them. There are no rivers that can take so many wild fish being taken away from the spawning grounds. Catch and release has globally been well accepted, but not in Norway. Sweden also has problems in the northern parts, and we need to stop killing these fish. I have figures telling me that recreational fishermen in Norway killed 51,000 salmon last year. These fish are needed on the spawning grounds. Please kill the escapees from the farms, but let the wild fish spawn. Norway needs to look at the international research saying that 99% of the fish released by catch and release fishermen fishing single hook barbless hooks will survive. Us fishermen, consumers, politicians, all sorts of authorities, we must all be responsible and take action to save this iconic species now for the future. If we don't do this, we will lose Atlantic salmon and they will never come back to us. We must take powerful action immediately. Please write a mail to the authorities and demand change. Share this message with everyone around you. Join us, take the fight. Together we can and we must force change.